Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm back with a new layout for the Coco Vanilla Studio design team. And for this layout, I'm going to be using the You Rock collection. And it's primarily a boyish collection. And I like to challenge myself to use it for a girl layout. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I was flipping through a lot of the papers and I found this star paper that I think I'd already cut into for something else. And I thought I want to create a layout full of fussy cut stars. And so I take some time and I cut, I think, every single one of these stars out. And this is a pretty easy shape to cut, so it really didn't take that long. You know, if this would have been a very intricate shape, I probably would not have cut that many. But this was pretty easy to do. So I'm going to cut all these stars out, and I love this color scheme. It's totally different. You know I love me some pink, but this one, as you can see, it's got red, which I don't really use a lot, a golden yellow, a couple of different shades of blue, and some dark and light gray colors. And I'm going to kind of do something like this right here. I just kind of threw them on this paper, and I love how that looked. Just a cluster of stars layered together. And here's my picture. I love this picture of my daughter from a few years ago. She put on these big sunglasses and just looks so cute. And I'd actually printed it in color, but you can see how she's wearing a purple shirt. It just does not match this collection at all. And so I printed it in black and white, and I made it a little bit bigger. And so I'm going to go with the black and white one. And this is a good example of how a color photo, it's okay to transfer it to black and white if it's not going to match what you're using. Now I am absolutely in love with this blue ombre background paper. I hoarded it for a while and I finally decided to use it. It's the perfect background for all those colorful stars. But I am going to add a little bit of mixed media. You know me, I have to jazz up every background that I ever make. And this paper alone is beautiful without anything on it, honestly. But what I wind up doing, it looks like a mess now, but it's very subtle in the end, I think. So I'm just using some white gesso here, and you can see I'm smudging it with my hand. I want it to look kind of white and fluffy and cloudy. And it's just going to sort of toughen up the paper and give me a little bit of white space to work with so I can add a little bit of color. And I sped that up. I really don't smudge gesso that fast. I wish I did, but no. So this is white acrylic paint. I'm going to water it down and splatter it with a brush because I always see Paige Evans do this and I always think, I want to add white splatters, but I really don't have a white ink that dries really, really white. Usually it'll just seep right into the paper and you can't even see it. But if you just water down some white paint, it's perfect. So I'm going to do that and just kind of splatter it around, and you can see how well that worked. And then I'm going to dry it with the heat gun, and then I'm going to start to come in with some coordinating colors that I've got over there with the stars. And these are some of my shimmer sprays. This is a golden yellow color called Glorious Day, and it looks like I'm actually doing a lot, but when I start to add everything back on top of it, you're just going to be able to see little parts of it kind of peeking through the stars. And that's the exact look I was going for. I didn't want to take away from this beautiful blue paper because it's just pretty all on its own. But I did want to add my own little flair to it. Now I did add some red splatters there, but once I dab them up, they fade out a little bit, so it does not look like I cut myself and bled all over the layout. So it's a faint red, and that's another Shimmers. I believe it's a Colorings. It's called My Bleeding Heart. And I'm going to kind of go with the rock star theme. The title of this is going to be You Rock, which is also the collection title, but I thought it was perfect for this picture. And I love all the stars, kind of like a rock star idea. So I've got a lot of the background done. I'm going to start to let that dry and work on layers behind my picture. And I'm just going to wind up using some tissue paper. And this is just to create a fun, messy, little subtle border that separates the picture from the background. And I like using the tissue paper because it's cheap, it's easy, and it doesn't really distract from anything because it's kind of like vellum, and I like it. So I'm going to keep working on the background. I'm going to go back and forth. In a minute, I'm going to bring all those stars back onto the page so I can see what I've got so far. Now, I did decide to add a little bit of a blue splatter. It's very subtle. You probably don't even wind up seeing it in the end. I only did a little bit of it, and you can see a little bit, but... Now, I'm going to try to recreate that shape of the cluster of stars that I had earlier. And I'm going to try not to waste any in the area where my picture is going to go. And see, now the background looks very subtle, now that you can see everything's on it. So what I do is dump all the stars off again, and then come back in and widen the area of the spray ink just a little bit. Add more white, and I'm going to add more red. I'm going to add a little bit more of everything that I've done and just kind of make it a little bit wider so you can see it peeking out from behind the stars. So that dried. I'm going to come back in and stick them all back on there. And this is something fun you can do, you know, if you don't really have a design idea. And I'm using 2 pieces of paper, but look at all the stars that I got from 1 piece of paper. And it pretty much takes care of my entire design. I don't have to worry about really doing anything else to this except adding a little bit of embellishments. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue behind each one. I don't want to do anything else really to the background. I don't want to move all those stars again. So I'm going to start to stick those down. And then I picked these stars out of the wood veneer pack, and I thought I need some gold on this layout. And so I'm going to do a little bit of heat embossing. And that little dabber bottle that I'm using there, it's basically the equivalent of an embossing ink pad. It's just liquid form in a little squeeze bottle, and it's got a little dabber on the top. And this is just Recollections brand gold powder from Michaels. I don't really have a lot of embossing stuff. I just have the basics because I don't do it a whole lot. Now those tweezers do come in handy. I also got those at Michaels. And these wood veneer are also from You Rock, same collection. And it's super easy to emboss, and I love how these turned out. Once you add the glitter on there, or it's not glitter, it's embossing powder, you just start to heat them up, and then you can just be mesmerized by watching the glitter sort of melt and set. It's always so fun to watch that. It's hard to see it on camera, but it's really neat to see. Oh, you can see it there. Now what I really loved about these big solid stars is they were kind of embossed in the wood, and you can still see it even with the gold. See it? You can see the lines. So cool. And that was super easy to do. It took 2 minutes maybe. Very quick. And this just gives me a little pop of gold, and it just echoes the whole star idea. And I'm going to layer some underneath the picture and just kind of scatter them around the page. And I've been wanting to use a flare. I hadn't used a flare yet in a while from this collection. So now you can see a lot of the things are for boys, and that's okay, but I don't have any boys. I did create a boy layout about my cat, but you know, obviously I don't want to use anything that says 100% boy or anything like that, because this is about a girl. But I am going to fussy cut out this You Rock, and that's going to be my title. I just have to figure out where to put it. So I did lots of fussy cutting on this, and I think you can get some really fun results with fussy cutting. You just have to be patient, and you have to just take the time to actually do it. That's the most frustrating part, and I actually enjoy it. I know a lot of people say they can't stand fussy cutting, but I think the results are always awesome. So I added some foam behind my picture, and it's going to be layered on top of 2 of those wood veneer hearts, and so it's going to be raised up a little bit as is. And then I'm going to come in with some thread, and the thread on this one is very subtle. I'm using the same colors that I've got in the stars, a little bit of red, a little bit of the darker blue, and some of the golden yellow. And since, you know, the red thread is on top of that red heart, it's very subtle. It doesn't really stand out a lot, and in person you can see it a lot better. And I mainly just like to use thread on my layouts because it adds a little bit of color and adds a little bit of texture, and it just kind of adds to the whole messy background idea. I love making messy backgrounds and creating little artsy things, and so the thread just kind of looks like an addition to the mess, I guess you could say. I just like it. Do I have to have a reason? I don't think I have to have a reason. I just like it. So now I'm going to glue down those glittery stars just in a couple places, and it just adds a little pop of gold because, you know, if you're a rock star, things are glittery and shiny, and so I thought that would be perfect. Now I'm going to tuck in You Rock right here and glue all those letters down and kind of overlap that blue, I keep wanting to say heart, blue, now I almost said flower. What the heck? Star. I'm going to layer the K underneath the star. And I'm going to glue down a couple things. I've got a couple of die cut ephemera stars and the flare button. I hope I haven't been saying hearts this whole time. I use so many hearts and flowers. When I do use stars, I call them the wrong thing. So I thought I would add this little piece in here. This just says smile, and I'm going to fussy cut around it. Surprise, surprise, more fussy cutting. And I'm going to stick it right on top of the picture down at the bottom. And then I'm going to come in with a couple of the wood veneer stickers. And that one says 1 in a million. I'm going to layer that down. And this one at the top says wicked. And I just mainly picked out a couple that did not say boy that kind of went with my theme. And these are some of the rubber charms. The one on the left, I'm going to just, it's basically just a little embellishment to create a little bit of interest over there. It's kind of going to blend in with that star. And then the one on the right says epic, and it kind of blends in with those yellow stars. So sometimes you can do tone on tone embellishing, and it's not really meant to stand out. It's meant to just add a little bit of interest, and you can see it, but it's not distracting from the picture. Guess what this is? Yay, Heidi Shine. I almost sang Adele's Heidi Shine song there, but I'll spare you the agony because it cannot sing at all. Anyway, I love how that looks. I'm going to add in some lines and then go ahead and write my journaling. This time I used a white gel pen since my background was dark. And then I do go back after I turned off the camera and I did some metallic gold stitching underneath the journaling and then inside some of the stars. And I love how this layout turned out. I'm super excited about it. It's so much fun to challenge yourself to use a collection in a different way. And, you know, you could definitely create a girl layout. It's not pink and girly, but I love this because those stars are just awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions. It was a lot of fun to make. Fussy cutting is great. You have to give it a go. Just be patient and cut some stuff out, and I promise you will like it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video. I hope y'all have a great week.